Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2016. I'm Marty, and I'm joined by my good friend Nathan Vella from Cappy Games.
Hello,
Nathan,
my friend.
It feels like we have a reoccurring date with this game.
We do. Yeah,
it's
we
below.
just no. We actually are. It's a big ARG Groundhog Day that you are secretly part of.
This
and
is
you
a
don't know
social
it.
experiment to see how many times the two of us can sit down and talk about Below.
Yep.
But it's amazing. I'm totally fine with that. This game obviously revealed 3 years ago on stage at Microsoft.
Yep.
And we've been, chronicling it along. We've had you in the office. We've done Let's Plays.
Yep.
You've had more stage shows. Where are we at right now? This is 2016.
Yeah, we are now at the point where we can confidently say that it's coming out this summer, that we know that that's happening.
I'm very excited.
Working our butts off to get there. I mean, it's a strange thing, right? To have a project that you think is going to take a certain amount of time, and then to be put in a position where you kind of have to decide, like, what is better for your studio, to be a little bit dishonest and put it out when it's not ready, or to do the harder thing in some ways and build it out to the way that you think it should be. And so for us, it was one part about the game is bigger than we've made any game before, but the other part of it was, as we were making it, we realized things about the game that we didn't know going into it. And the choices are always like, do you just stick on that, like stay on target, or do you kind of veer off and see where that game is going to take you? I mean, it sounds kind of strange to say, but like, I really believe that a big part of what makes games special is the little discoveries, or sometimes big discoveries, that happen while cool people are making cool stuff.
And it's not like you're a team of 200 working, in 7 studios around the world.
No, we're 17,000.
17,000 people.
Yeah,
Actually, every citizen of Toronto is working on this game
it's a 17,000 person town.
How many folks are on the team?
Below is a 12-person team. Our studio is 23 people. So we work on a bunch of different stuff at the same time, but this is obviously like the big thing.
The priority right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's imminent. We're getting ready. We still got a whole lot of stuff about the game that we haven't talked about or shown, because we really want people to feel like they're discovering the game. We don't want to, be like, hey, it's a game about exploration, but you've seen all of the exploration.
Totally.
We don't want to tell them all of the gameplay that's going to happen in it, because a huge part of the game is us trusting players to just go, just explore, just try, just learn, just like play the game the way that you want to play it and see how that works.
Yeah, I really feel like this is going to be one of those, do people have water coolers anymore? Remember back in the day?
Yeah, we totally have. We have like, that's all we have. We used to have
just water coolers.
Yeah, because you buy people tons of pop, and then they drink tons of pop, and then they're like getting, it's bad blood sugar. And
so I feel like much in the way the hit TV show Mad About You was a water cooler show in the 90s, this is going to be a water cooler game when it comes out.
That's what it sounds strange to say, but part of how we're working on the game is to make it like that.
Yeah.
So like, one of the things that we've been doing lately is because the game kind of resets itself in the sense that, like, you're playing a new life after your death, and you die a lot. So you're playing a lot of different characters in sequence, but everything that you do with the lives stays done. So what you were just seeing on screen is that you have a magic lantern, and you can go up to a fire pit and use your magical lantern's beam to turn a fire pit into a single-use checkpoint.
I love that.
So you, after you create a checkpoint, you have a spot that you will return to from any other fire pit. You don't have to use it. You can leave it, but you only have one shot at it. So if you die and decide to go back to that checkpoint, you then have to recharge your lantern to a point that you can create at the next one.
It's a one-time use checkpoint. It's not like every time you die you're going to go back there. It's just...
No, it is, and you set it. You define it. You choose where it's placed, as long as you actually have enough fuel to do it.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that was going to be a mechanic. I was sort of under the assumption that every time you died, you were going to restart on the beach.
Yep, you do. But see, in this case, the Wanderer can just head to the little encampment on the beach, light the fire, and fire pits provide you 3 specific things to do. You can sit down, put some stuff in a pot, and make soups and stews that turn into kind of health or buffs. You can go to the pocket, which is our space outside of the game where you can store items perpetually, where you can put weapons, or you can, if you have a checkpoint active, you can teleport directly to that checkpoint, and you wake up at that fire pit, and then you carry on. But you can also teleport to that fire pit, hop into the pocket, take some of the stuff that you've left for yourself, maybe pick up a weapon that you were storing there, and then use that to help you get further, to like maybe get to the next fire pit that will let you checkpoint.
One of the most fascinating things about the game with me is that every time I've seen it, even this like opening area, every time I've seen it over the past 3 years, it just gets more and more beautiful.
That's a big focus for us because the game has such a different kind of like. I mean, I hate saying it, like our game's so unique, but it has a different look. It has a different style. And because we took the camera and pulled it back, we had to think a lot about how the aesthetics, how the art, how the lighting, shadows, highlights affect both like player focus, but also like what is the vibe that you get. Like there is, right now on screen you're seeing some natural stuff. You're in caves, and those caves are being procedurally generated, but we also needed the aesthetic to work with the procedural generation, so it didn't feel like here's block, here's a block, here's a block. It works great. Like I love the way that Spelunky looks, but it is a very different aesthetic than what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Oh no. So there are the game is procedurally generated, but also it has sort of bespoke set pieces that you guys created for specific use.
It's kind of the flags in the sand where from a long distance, if you've been there, you know where you're going. You can see it, you can understand it. It's kind of always in the same spot. You might get there slightly differently, but if you know that there is, say, a special area on the 2nd floor of the cave system, you know that that's going to be there. It's not going to move to the 8th floor and then you're kind of pooched. There is these kind of like, landmarks that will not change in their position. And they're usually places where you can learn something or find something, whether it's about the story or, pick up a cool weapon.
Are there any like sort of vague passive multiplayer elements to the game? Is that anything you can talk about?
So it is a game that started out with ideas around that, maybe, and then through the development we really figured out that this kind of lonely solo experience was where the game was driving us. So right when it launches, it will be a single player game, and it will. I mean, obviously there's things that we'd love to do with another 5 years and $1 billion, but no, it's a single player game, and that's for us a very important piece of that. Like, how do we focus the game? We don't want to make, especially because we've been working on it for years, we don't want to add anything that's going to take away from that singular focus experience.
Talking a little bit about, I love the idea that 3 years ago when you guys showed off that initial reveal that sort of felt like a tone piece, that the game was probably one very different thing than it is now, or at least the idea of what the game was is something very different.
When Chris, our creative director, pitched the idea, there were things in that pitch that are literally in the game now. Like word for word, exactly. The camera, the idea of how we treated permanent death, the idea of procedural generation being offset by those landmarks, the idea of bleeding and being one hit away from death, but being able to solve that, of being weak and small. But for example, like when we were working on the game, even a year and a half ago, the game wasn't really about light and dark the way that it is now. It wasn't about exploration, not just of space, but of like where you are in that immediate moment. And even just the addition of the lantern to the game, and the lantern is really just a lantern. You can just turn it on and it lights up an area, or you can hold the button down and get a beam. And just kind of explore that way. But now it is actually like a core piece of the gameplay. We took the game and made it darker and made it about like even just within a single screen level, of which that's the predominant procedural generation is single screen levels. Now you even have to figure out how to just make it across the screen, and how you can use your lantern to reveal the fog of war, to like push the fog of war back. I mean, really, like when it comes down to it, there is kind of like, there are games that are made on a script, and I love making that type of game, but I also love being able to kind of just trust fans that like they're going to be interested in the stuff that we're interested in. And sure, like, I mean, people want the game to come out and we want to get the game to them. But I think it's better, I believe pretty strongly that like being able to speak honestly about your game, like we worked our butts off. We didn't just rest on our laurels and ship something that we didn't feel was fully complete. We tried to finish it, and we're trying to finish it so that when we put it out there, fans are actually playing what we thought we should be making.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It sounds like it sounds like I'm kind of being cheeseball about it, but we actually talk about that shit in the studio all the time. And we did it. We talked about it with Sorcery. We talked about it with Time Force. We talked about it with Below, where it's like we have a point in every game where we can cut it off and ship, or we can explore and then see how that exploration allows us to ship. And in this case, it took us a lot longer than we expected.
Yeah.
And it's going to be way better because of it.
Have you guys been working closely with Microsoft? Because obviously you're at the Microsoft booth. You were on stage revealing at Microsoft.
Yep.
I mean, how hands-on or hands-off are they?
They have been amazingly hands-off until we ask them to be hands-on, and then they're amazingly hands-on.
Awesome.
Like, for us, like a big element of support from them is just getting access to people that know what they're doing, whether it's like on certification or it's on platform questions, it's on technical questions, it's like, you know, how do we show the game at E3? What type of showings are we going to have? How are we going to, you know, get this game in front of people? How is the game going to launch on their platform? All those questions are questions that we need active participation, but the making of it, we just want to be left alone in a lot of ways. And even though they've been pushing the game and they've been very supportive of the game, when we tell them it's going to take an extra X number of months or years or whatever, they just kind of like, cool, later.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ideal scenario. I mean, it is a game that we're funding ourselves that is kind of a self-published title, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was originally a Microsoft Studios game before ID at Xbox even was invented or created, and the fact that we got to move over, that's a pretty cool, like that's a, you know, Phil, all the way up to Phil Spencer, they've been very supportive. Been working, I've known Chris Charla for years.
Yeah. He's
the reason why we got involved with working with Microsoft. And he's proved us right every time.
That's awesome.
And so and being able to like also see the fact that independent studios on Xbox also always have a big Steam component. For us, that's super important. I mean, the game is also a PC game, and we're building it to be also a PC game. It's not just a console game that's getting ported out to. It's meant to be a PC title as well, and obviously Microsoft has a mandate to support that as well.
Oh no.
So that's super cool for us. And I mean, we want to make sure that we love console. And to me, E3 this year has been this kind of like enormous explosion of big console stuff.
Yeah.
Giant, like both press conferences were basically like watching as big as you can get.
Yeah, seriously.
Watching what happens when, I mean, everybody wants, we all talk about the success that PlayStation has seen in the 40+ million copies, but it's very easy to overlook the 20-some-odd million Xbox Ones that are out there.
That's an incredible number.
Absolutely, and the fact that I think Xbox Live is a fantastic service. So if you take all of console together and you think about how important and successful console has been, it's really exciting to me as the head of a studio that wants to make console games, that maybe at some point might want to make bigger console games. Like it's really exciting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, obviously at the end of the Microsoft conference, we had the Scorpio reveal or confirmation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We know we're going to get this new, more powerful 4K console with, you said teraflops. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
I'm very dumb.
I mean, I think it's like I think it's like how many like hamsters are running in the wheel at the same time. Yeah, it's
how many somersaults you could do on a single console. I mean, does that excite you, the fact that next year is ostensibly a restart of the generation?
I think it's really exciting for hardcore console fans. I think there is always a fear in these 8-year console cycles that PC that PC will always be getting the best versions of every game, and that sucks if you're a console player. You know, if you love to play console and sit on your couch with a controller, that experience might not be the most exciting. Like you know, if PC is out there being new NVIDIA 1080 cards, we're doing all of like they maybe have teraflops too. I don't know if that's how it works, but
possibly.
I think it's great for the hardcore fans. For me, I mean, we're not trying to do the craziest, biggest, most polygons, whatever. So it's cool. I mean, I think it's exciting for us because I'm hopeful that it's exciting for the really hardcore fans. It's kind of scary from a development perspective because you don't like one of the things that I love about console is that you make a game and it works.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll change that. I don't know any of the facts behind it, but I can't see them changing that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm looking at it more from the like anything that makes console players feel like they're getting the best possible experience. That's just going to make consoles stronger.
Yeah.
That's just, and also, you know, the fact that they started and ended with new consoles.
Yeah.
And they both look pretty slick.
Oh yeah.
you know, I don't really love the product design of the Xbox One. I didn't even really love the PlayStation, but I think the new revs of both, if there is a new PlayStation at some point.
Oh yeah.
Even though they've already said there is, but we don't know. Anyways, I think they're going to be cool too. It's more likely that I'm going to set them up beside my TV, which, you know, as a fan of like that center of entertainment, that's also pretty cool.
2017 is gonna be cool.
I'm super excited about it. I think I'm really excited for Inside.
Yeah.
I think. Have you you guys seen the?
We'll talk about it after.
Okay.
After we're done recording. Nathan, thank you very much. Below is out this summer.
Absolutely.
I am gonna guess August 31st. I'm not 100% sure there are 31 days in August, though.
Actually, there is.
Oh, dang, nailed it.
I have the limerick. 30 days has some, yeah.
Nathan, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Stick around. We're going to have so much more. IGN Live at E3 2016.
Bye, IGN.